with a ring toss.
What?
Ring toss with SpaghettiOs.
That's what our little buddy Randy does in the bathtub.
SpaghettiOs?
Plays ring toss with SpaghettiOs.
That's messy, though. I don't think I could do that.
I hope not.
I used to get threatened with spaghetti in a can, so that never happened.
How does somebody threaten you? Like throwing it at you or
No,
to eat it?
because I didn't like the taste of it at all. So like if ever I didn't do anything, I was threatened that I was going to get the funnel and the ramrod and the can of SpaghettiOs.
Oh my God. That's a horrible childhood. No wonder you turned out the way you did.
I know. I told you.
Jeez, man.
There was nothing that your parents used to threaten you with when you were younger? You said it's a good ass beating?
Not really. I mean, taking things away, groundings, but like nothing like, I mean, spankings, of course, but I mean, I grew up to like those. And
did you get the wooden spoon or the belt?
Yeah, when I was younger, I got the old belt a little bit here and there, but honestly, I was like, whatever. Because when I would get the belt, it wasn't like that bad. Because my mom felt bad about it, and my dad was like, "I'm gonna whoop this kid's ass," and blah blah blah.
And then one whop, and then she's like, "All right, that's enough."
Yeah, and then like 8 years later, I came out of puberty, and I was like, I towered over my dad, and I was 100 pounds heavier than him. I was like, all right, well, let's talk about that ass whooping, Dad.
So sorry about that, you guys. I just saw the message. Someone was like, "I'm hearing about SpaghettiOs in a bathtub at 8 o'clock in the morning." Sorry.
Oh yeah, I forget. We got a chat, don't we? I often forget about that chat. We're kind of off to a rocky start because it's been like 3 weeks since we all met.
Yeah, it's been hectic. We've all had things going on, and Adam's moving up in the world and got more important things to do, I guess.
Yeah, Adam's moving up in the world. Brett's moving up in the world. I'm still right here.
Is that kind of? I think it's a good segue to the topic. No.
Okay.
Yeah. What is our topic?
I put it up in the top. The strangest secret, Earl Nightingale, all about you, or all about you become what you think you are. I can't read. Sorry.
So we
I give up.
We sort of came upon this subject matter because Adam sent me a video. That video, I don't know if it's in the show notes.
You know who sent me that video? John Ellis randomly sent me that video.
That's weird.
Yeah.
And I'm pissed at him because he I saw he was in Texas. He was down in Dallas. I was like, hey, I'm here all week. I'm here, just what are you doing this week? He's like, nothing. We'll go out and have dinner. I'm like, okay.
That was it?
Nothing.
Crickets?
Not a thing.
What a dick. I've always said that about John. He's such a dick. Hey, if you're watching, John, I'm just joking. You're a cool guy.
Except for the fact you didn't invite me out.
Yeah, except for that. I mean, that's pretty rude.
That's kind of dick.
But no, so Adam sent me that video, and I watched it, and I was like, that's a good message. And like I was telling you guys before the show, I've heard that message in numerous different forms from different people, and somewhat changes a little bit through whatever media that I listened to it through. I think the last time I heard sort of a reproduction of that message was what's his name, Tony Robbins. And it wasn't bad. It's there's also a book.
The Secret.
Is there a book, The Secret?
Yeah.
The Secret Stranger?
Oh, just The Secret.
The Secret. There's a book that I immediately thought of when I watched that called, what is it? I don't think I have it anymore. I think I donated it. I think I did donate it. But it's called Think and Grow Rich. And it's an old book by, I think, Carnegie, I want to say. Yeah, I believe it's, what's his name? Carnegie. And I read it and then I donated it. But it's not a hard read, but it's an old read. You know how like they talk back in the 1800s?
Yeah, they talk funny and you're like, I don't even, it's...
Yeah, like you can understand it, but I almost expect older books to be dumbed down, but they're actually, for the most part, they're...
Yeah, previous generations were much smarter than we are these days.
Yeah.
They were more eloquent with their thinking, and I think honestly my thought is because everyone uses text and sometimes a lot of stuff has predictive text, so like it kind of cuts out like all the intricacies of old speak. Like,
But you know what? That's a good point, because I think another thing that they did really well is they were able to lay out more context in their conversations and their writings. And like nowadays, I could write something and I have no context to go with it, and I struggle with that.
Jordan Peterson is real good at that, right? He's just so eloquent with how he speaks.
Jordan Peterson.
Look him up, Canadian psychiatrist. But if you next time you have 20 minutes to scroll through whatever, look up old Civil War letters back home. Like, even though those guys couldn't fucking read, like their speech and describing the battle and describing how everything goes is so eloquent. Like, it just uses more words than my vocabulary can comprehend. Like, as I'm reading it, I'm like, what the hell does that word mean? Okay, all right, now I have context.
Yeah, because they had no choice. Like, you can't film it. There's no pictures. I mean, so if you weren't able to describe what you are seeing or experiencing, then you're not going to convey that message to anybody.
So, you know, back to you become what you think about. I've wrote a couple articles for HVAC school, and I've been trying to really like get my grammar together. Because I think like with today, like what you guys are talking about right now, the current like day and age with text message and everything, when I was texting people, I was okay with making, you know, oh, my first letter of the sentence is not capitalized. I don't have punctuation, whatever else. You're just like blanketly talking and making
Not
comments.
putting periods where they belong and like
Exactly.
commas. I do that all the time.
But like when it's hard once you start doing that, it's hard to get out of the routine of that, right? So
it's like you develop almost like your own language within a language.
yes.
Years ago, I went to college because before I became a HVAC guy, I wanted to become a psychologist. So I started going to college. I went to college for like 2 or 3 years, and one of the prerequisites that I was taking was journalism classes. And I really enjoy writing, and but I enjoy my style of writing. So I would write these stories, and my teacher, professor, instructor, whatever, he liked them, but he's always harping on me about grammar and like, you got to make this make sense, and grammar, you got to follow the grammar rules and laws. And I'm like, yeah, but if I do that, I'm not speaking how I would speak. Like, this is my art. This is how I paint, is with these words. And like, I would hyphenate words that don't need to be hyphenated. And I would have run on sentences. I'm like, well, that's just how I talk, and it was a constant uphill battle for me.
Yeah. One thing that I've done recently, because I've been thinking about trying to become a better writer, and I struggle with, I don't know, I think you guys are a lot better than it than me, but like I get like I'm fine like if I'm in a small group of people, but like when I'm in a large group of people, I have a hard time spitting out what I'm trying to say and what's in my mind, you know? So that's one thing. I'm thinking about trying to become better at that. So I was looking at, have you guys ever heard of Toastmasters? It's kind of like a public speaking coaching group.
Oh, it's not like a monthly subscription to a magazine all about toast?
No. That would be definitely pretty cool.
That'd be much cooler than what you're talking about.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's not. It won't.
No, so it's basically a group of people that you're trying to learn from to see how to speak better in public forums.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know why this is. Like, I don't know why I recently have noticed this is an issue that I have, but like, because in the past I was in a band, I played on a stage in front of a ton of people, and I never had
you're talking like jumping around, shirt off,
no, but
just
like actually, yeah, but like
freewheel and just didn't care.
But being able to talk into a microphone on stage, blah blah blah, and now it's like I feel like I'm struggling finding the words. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's anxiety or whatever. So like it's something that's happened to me later on in life, right? So
like for me, and I don't really get an opportunity to speak in front of crowds ever, really, or in front of even groups of people other than this, YouTube live stream stuff, which isn't the same, I don't think. But For me, like the few instances that I've come close to speaking in front of large groups of people, which is like work meetings, or in front of management teams or whatever, it's usually just my brain starts getting ahead of myself because I'm a planner. I like to plan things out, and as I'm in mid conversation, my brain will either get distracted by stuff around me, stuff I see, stuff I hear, or my brain is like, well, what are we going to say next? Make sure the next 10 thoughts are lined up and ready to go. So as I'm speaking to whatever it is I'm speaking now, my brain's trying to organize the next 10 thoughts and get sort of an idea of which direction those are going to go in, and whatever direction those are going to go in, those are going to parlay into other directions. All this while I'm trying to talk and stay on one subject matter. Then I just get distracted. And then I either have to stop and reframe, or like slow down my speech, or put sunglasses on.
Does it make you feel like you're falling behind the conversation because you're spending so much of your time and your effort to try to make sure whatever comes out of your head doesn't sound like it's a bunch of jargon?
Yes.
I'm just trying to relate because, like, sometimes when I used to,
like
when I was in
over
elementary school,
sort of,
huh?
like over explaining yourself, like to make sure, like that's kind of what I'm thinking of is I feel like I'm falling behind, I'm not getting my point across, and then I end up like excessively over explaining my position on things or my opinions or whatever.
No, that I'm fine with. My problem is that I used to stutter as a child.
Hmm.
So it wasn't because I had any kind of malformation with my mouth or speech or anything like that. It was basically I just wasn't taking the time to get thoughts together, to get it all together, because they constantly, like, someone that has ADHD, like, they're constantly listening, and then they're constantly already trying to think of questions about what the person, because they're trying to still be engaged, right? And I find myself doing this in class all the time, where I'll be talking and talking and talking, and then I'm listening to someone ask me a question, and I'm already trying to formulate what he's trying to convey to me, and see to make sure I can spit stuff back. But it seems like I miss, parcels of information doing that because I'm so focused on thinking what I'm gonna say next.
Hmm.
No,
I can
yes.
understand that. Yeah.
So do you guys find this, what do you like, you are what you think about, or you become what you think about? Are you finding that, like, what is in your mind? Like, what are you trying to, you know what I mean? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, that whole message, I think, for me is, I don't know, it's a real broad sort of view. For me, that's something I think about when I do like my future self visualization exercises, right? So I have all these goals laid out for my life. They're not
Mhm.
elaborate. They're not like it's not a bunch of goals. It's pretty simple. The next step of goals that I want to reach. And so I think about these goals, and in doing so, I'm basically thinking about it. So I'm putting that thought in my mind, and as I put more emphasis on that thought subconsciously, or this is the idea, is that subconsciously I will attract these things around me. I will maybe spend more unconscious time focusing on this. Like instead of picking up my phone and looking at TikTok, since I have this visualization of myself already achieving these goals, my brain is like, no, let's read a book. Let's read a refrigeration book or a self-help book or a speaking in public book or whatever it is that my mind is programming itself to focus on, whatever it is I'm thinking about becoming. That's what I'm hoping to be drawn to. That's kind of my 10,000-foot view of it.
Do you find it to be true though? Like in the past, if you put yourself in the right mindset? I mean,
That's a good question.
one thing I know I struggle with, and I think you are the same, is trying to stay with a positive mindset.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Like self-talk, internal,
your
whatever.
internal dialogue.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole positive mindset thing is like that's one of my, like, as far as goals, that's always on the top of the list or close to the top of the list of the one of the things that my future self needs to become in order to achieve my goals, is just to have a more positive outlook on things. And the one of the exercises that I do for that is I flood my mind with gratitude every morning when I go through my priming exercises, which is basically where I set my intentions for the day. I'm gonna like I'm gonna go into the day with a positive mindset. It doesn't always work. It's not foolproof, but I set my intentions for the day. I'm like, I'm gonna have a positive mindset all day long. And where was I taking this question? See, I got fucking distracted. The positive mindset, thinking positively. Yeah, that is something I struggle with all the time. And it's, as far as it actually working, as far as if I pre-program my mind in the morning to think positively throughout the day, I don't know, it doesn't, I can't say that it always works.
So how do you keep doing something when you like, give me a percentage, because that I couldn't. That's my problem. Like with a lot of things, like wanting to just keep doing it if I don't have any yield from it.
Well, see, I have yield from it. It's just not like, it's not like I wake up tomorrow and I think positively, like boom, I'm a ray of sunshine all day long. Because these have shifting my mindset like a year, maybe 2 years ago. So
Mhm.
these habits have been like building up and slowly forming over 38 years, like it's going to take some time to change the way I think, to change my pre-programmed behaviors. Cause my go-to, my default mode is
Yeah.
just to find everything that's wrong in the day. Like
Yeah.
that's my default mode is like, fuck man, I mean, my coffee was a little bit off this morning. It's a little too hot. My wife was kind of in a pissy mood this morning. Like I can tell you 25 things that it's already wrong with my day today. And I'll struggle to tell you 5 that have been going good. But although if you stop and like sort of reframe your mindset, I mean, today's eBay day. That's a
Huh.
great thing for me. I got all this cool stuff behind me. I got a brand new house that I'm living in. I got a pretty good job. I got an awesome group of friends. I mean, I have so many amazing things that I should be grateful for that should immediately overcome this negative default mode of thinking that I have. Just immediately wipe it away. But the problem is I either take all this stuff for granted or it just slowly fades into the background and it's just like, yeah, I mean, I have a dependable vehicle that I don't have to worry about breaking down on me all the time. It's just background noise now. It's not something that I'm currently thankful for. But I'll tell you what, if that truck ever has a problem, oh, it's a fucking
The
goddamn
day's
truck.
off. It's all
I
fucked.
mean, my truck broke down or I had a flat tire and like it'll be a whole week of me bitching about it. But it working fine for the last 2 years. I don't even tell anybody about it. I
Well,
don't focus on it.
I think like a big thing too is like it's not like if you lose focus on something on, a day-to-day basis, that's not the big deal, but you're playing long ball, right? Or
Yeah.
long game. You're looking at like where you're gonna become, like what do you wanna do? What are your goals like a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever. It's not like, and I get it. Short term is also good. It's like, hey, my goal is I don't wanna get into a fight with my wife tonight, something like
Yeah.
that or
Well,
whatever.
and that's why you got to set up, I don't want to say like tiny goals, but sort of like tiny goals. That's why you have to be realistic with your goals. Like, I can't have this self visualization of me 20 pounds lighter with a smile on my face, hugging my family in the backyard and the sun shining and the birds are chirping. Like, that's my 2 year goal.
Right.
But up until then, I need to start with like baby steps. Cause I mean, that goal for me, smiling in front of my family, being happy and positive like that, that's a pretty far reach. I'm not going to get there overnight. So in the meantime, I need to go through these like, well, let's start with just being positive every day, having setting aside 20 minutes and just having a positive conversation with my daughter or something like that. Like little ones where I can be like, you know what? Looking back, I never would have done that.
You
Or
are
looking
right.
back, I would have yelled at my kid instead of like sat down and went into it with a different frame of mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely see it working in myself. Like I started putting myself in changing my mindset several years ago. Well, about 2 years ago. And it's not something that happens overnight, but like if you would have told me 2 years ago where I'm at today, which I'm not in too much of a different place, but I'm close to being in a different place, right?
It's gonna be hot out.
Um
Okay.
And I don't really know how I got here, but it was just keeping it knowing what I want and keeping that in my head. I think that's an important thing, right?
Mm-hmm. I think that summarizes the whole message of that, or that whole message from Earl Nightingale. Focus on it, think and grow rich. That going back to that book was about I forget it. Like every super successful person from 100 years ago, like Henry Ford and the guys who basically changed the industry, the industrial billionaires from way back in the day, right? I can't quote any of their names or anything that they did specifically, but like one of the focuses or one of the things that I got out of that book was like all these people, like that was their something they thought about all the time, either changing the industry or becoming successful, however you want to look at it, or both. But that was something like they intently focused on. They thought about it all the time. I mean, you could probably say that they were just obsessed with it,
So
which
that was something that we wanted to talk about or discuss a few weeks back. Like, what is your why? Start, and that was actually a book that I went through, and I think Bill, you read it too. What is it called? Start with the why.
hmm, I don't, did I read that book?
I don't know. I thought we talked about that in the
Maybe,
past.
yeah, we
But like,
might have.
basically, like, why are you doing what you're doing? What is your focus? Because if you figure out why you're doing something, it might give you a path to move forward in that direction versus just like, hey, I'm doing this.
Hmm.
What's your point? Like, are you trying to make money? Are you trying to, me, am I trying to work towards growing a huge, large company, like one of the big freaking conglomerates in Chicago? Do I want to sell my company? Do I want to transition to something like why am I in HVAC?
Yeah.
You know?
Why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
Why? Because if you don't know why, then, or even like, let's say goals, like, why do you want to do, or why do you want to achieve this goal? If you don't know why, then, I mean, what are the odds you're going to actually achieve that goal? You might have some minor success, but I mean, you're not going to hit a home run. You're not going to kill it. I still like, I have ideas, but honestly, my whys are still pretty blurry. And that's one of the things I'm trying to get a clear idea of is my why. Like, what's my why? Like, why? Obviously, I work because I need to, but why do I try to be better at what I do? I mean, honestly, in my area of the industry, there's the idea of me progressing in this immediate company, I'll say. Uh, I mean, it's not going to happen. So, like, why do I try to be better? So, or why do I try to, why do I have a life coach? Why do I try to become a better person? Why do I diet? Why do I exercise? Why do I continuously argue with myself about overeating and over consuming on my calories and eating a whole cake all at one time?
I think you would have I mean, Bill, everyone, like, whenever you talk, you just are naturally entertaining, and I know I understand, like, you have a certain job path that you're on or whatnot, but, like, I think if you started doing some sort of training or whatever in a more of a public manner, I think you'd be very successful at it. Because the problem is with a lot of instructors and this and that, they're not entertaining, they're freaking boring, you're falling
That's
asleep
true.
to 'em,
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I thought about that before, but yeah, that's why I started doing YouTube videos. Honestly, it was to actually get into training and become a better trainer, and that's kind of I don't know, one of my, I don't know if the right way to say it is submodalities is one of the subconscious thoughts behind my videos was like, hey, this is fun. I can get the same message across in maybe a little bit more of an entertaining way and engage people and bring new blood into the industry. I'm like, hey, you know what? It doesn't have to be all boring fucking book science. Like, we can talk about fucking wieners and ring toss, and still have fun with it and still learn stuff. Like, you can be immature and mature all in the same day.
100%. Well, I do that all the time just to keep people involved
Yeah.
in training, because
Engaged. Yeah.
otherwise, I'm spitting all this, this technical jargon, and if I don't throw in some kind of joke about something, we were talking about compressors vibrating because of harmonic imbalance, and I was like, yeah, that you ever have a compressor that shakes worse than someone with Parkinson's? I was like, my grandmother used to shake worse than a 78 Vega going uphill on bad gas, and
Oh,
then
man.
yeah, and so like drop something like that, and like they're never gonna forget what we just talked about, or we were talking about CO2, and they were having a hard concept with, the gas coolers controlling the TD, the HPVs controlling subcooling, and just the natural flow, and they couldn't remember which one came first. I was like, just remember it this way. There was a gentleman that likes going to exotic dance rooms and just disappearing for a little bit every once in a while. And so this person goes to the strip club to see some TDs, and then after that he leaves and gets an HPV. So that was a way for them to actually remember what comes first.
It's awesome.
This is a good way to remember.
And I was just as you were telling this story, I'm like, I wonder,
HPV is
does cool sis keep you on a tight leash where you got to really watch your mouth in that? But no, that's good.
I bet HR is just like, just go do your stuff.
I work for HR.
See, so they're like, we don't care. Say the worst things ever.
Well, no, I mean, I don't avidly try to go out and do it. I realized I use curse words for filler words because of the whole stuttering thing, right? So,
but also that is, I mean, look at your audience. You completely relate to the majority of it. Like you're gonna get that one kind of uptight guy who's like, I don't use curse words. I believe in God and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, well, you're a dick.
So funny thing, like I have now found out that there's not just technicians that listen to like advanced refrigeration podcasts. They engineers listen to it. What's that?
Never heard of that podcast. Is that a new podcast? What's that about?
Fairly new. Refrigeration.
Oh, I'll have to check
but yeah,
it out.
so I lost it.
Engineers listen to your podcast.
Oh yeah. I didn't even realize that like engineers and people that do energy management that try to get ideas for new ways of saving energy actually listen to our podcast. So I thought that was really cool. Like I'll talk to some people that I know that are very high up in Emerson or Copeland or wherever, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we listen." I'm like, I don't get that what we put out there. You know what I mean?
Isn't it nuts? Like if you look at it that way. Like, all right, so you got people from Emerson who also probably have some sort of, I don't know if they really do podcasts, but they have like training videos and stuff and like YouTube videos and like their stuff is boring as shit. And then like they're listening to you guys' stuff where you guys, you and Kevin Compass, you have a little bit of a banter. You guys still get your point across. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of information there. It's very educational and entertaining as well. And like it's engaging even though I don't really know a majority of what you guys are talking about, I find it interesting and engaging and I listen to it. But when I go to like these other companies who also listen, it's just so boring. And I wonder if they're listening to it with sort of that same idea. Like, how can we become engaging as a corporation?
I think that's like a huge, because I've talked to different, I'm not going to name the companies, but a couple different content creators for major HVAC part and different style companies and this and that. And I think there's a huge disconnect because like one of them, he was talking about like, well, nobody watches. I spend hours and hours and hours and nobody watches our content.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, what kind of content do you put out? And he played it for me. And it's like, dude, it's like PowerPoint on YouTube. I'm like, nobody wants to sit through a class on their phone sitting at like, you got to make it real. And I think like all these companies are like, well, we need to have our collared shirts on and our freaking tie, and let's try to make everyone happy and be proper and correct. But guess what? Nobody cares. Nobody wants to watch your bull crap. You need to be entertaining, and you need to like make people like not necessarily want to learn, but they learn inadvertently because you're entertaining them at the same time, right?
Yeah, and you're relatable to them. Like
exactly.
Oh, those PowerPoints, dude. I feel bad for saying this, but the last PowerPoint I saw was with a long time ago with Don Gillis and Trevor Matthews. And it was like the subject matter was okay. And that's the only thing that kept me watching. It was all about CO2 refrigeration. But I'll tell you, it was a hard watch because it was all just like, I see it on the screen and then they're saying it. I'm like, why are you guys even there? It's just, yeah, it was horrible. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Don, if you're watching, I apologize, but it was horrible.
Yeah, I think that's a trap not to fall down as an instructor is don't like lean so hard on PowerPoint. And I know Ty Brannaman says that he hates PowerPoint. You know what I mean? It was funny in his class in ESCO, he had a PowerPoint up on his last class, and it was the refrigeration cycle on the screen. And I heard a couple guys like right before it started, he's like, "Oh, great. We're going to look at this again. How many times have you seen this week or whatever?" And he's like, "All right, guys. So This is my one and only PowerPoint slide that I'm having on the screen. I don't know if you guys have a problem with that or like, and everyone started clapping like, yeah. And then
Nice.
in true fashion, true, Thai manner, he's running around like emptying sponges and he's got all these props and all over the freaking that's how you teach, and it was entertaining, and people are freaking like on the edge of their seat watching this guy. You don't want to just click the slide and read. Like, why are you reading off the like? You don't need to be there if you're gonna have a PowerPoint like that. Just like press play
100%.
and walk out of the room. Let them read it themselves.
See, and I wonder if a lot of guys depend on PowerPoints as a crutch because maybe they don't do well with public speaking, with conveying their message,
or they can't explain it in another way.
Yeah, and they can't handle like on the fly questions about the subject matter.
I understand that sometimes you need a visual representation of whatever you're talking about, and that's fine. But don't like put a paragraph on the screen and read it verbatim off the screen.
Oh yeah, that's so bad. That's so horrible.
So,
well, I mean, so I don't know. I agree, because I get you don't want someone reading off the whole thing, but I don't know how else to put it to make them, to get them up there to read it. You know what I mean? Like, because any PowerPoint that I develop, everyone gets a copy of it, so that they're able to go through the material as well. Basically, because like structuring in a book is, it doesn't make it as engaging because you're basically, I utilize a lot of pictures, a lot of pictorials, constantly throwing up different diagrams, with numbers plugged in, so they understand it, because then you have that visual reference, because you can tell someone what the pressures and temperatures are supposed to be all day long, right? But if you actually are listening to me talk and then actually physically seeing it, there's more of a chance that it's gonna sink in, because you're learning two different ways.
So do you use PowerPoint?
I do, and it's, I wish I'll show you guys another day, but yeah, I do.
I would venture to say though, like your way of using PowerPoint, I would almost guarantee isn't what we're thinking of. Like I would,
okay.
Like I guarantee, like when you bring up something on the screen and what you're saying isn't word for word like a script. Like some of these PowerPoints are, it's just word for word, like scripted. Like they don't say anything that's not on a PowerPoint screen.
Just read it.
Yeah, they are. Exactly. They're essentially just reading whatever it is on that screen. They're reading it in front of them. And then up next, you have the refrigeration cycle and the compressed oxygen, low pressure vapor, and condenses and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, you mean what I'm reading on the screen right there? You're just, snooze fest.
We're getting a little sidetracked, but
sorry.
No. Yeah, that's a good point. What were we here for again?
I'm here for the donuts.
Oh, I got ADD.
Who brought donuts?
Or ADHD. I made breakfast burritos, man. And they're downstairs right now. But the thing is I'm going through this whole mind frame shift of I eat when I'm bored. And just when there's like food around, I just want to eat it. So I'm trying to make sure I'm actually hungry before I eat food. That's tough.
We can do a scientific experiment. You can get a shock collar, and every time you have a thought of eating, you hit the shock collar.
I would just stop hitting it.
Yeah.
All right, then we got to figure out something with AI. So whenever you hears the word eating or food, shocks you.
I need to send like the remote or access to it or something to one of you guys.
They have we have the invisible fence at our house for the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
They also give you this like this little puck or whatever that you could bring in your house, and you could set the perimeter around that puck, so you could put it on top of the refrigerator. Wear your shot collar, and if you're within 3 feet,
that's a good idea.
That would be amazing.
And then I would just like slowly starve to death. I'm like, I can't unprogram it. I forgot the password, and I can't get into my fridge.
Combination lock on the back. I mean, there's a way to change your mindset right there.
I mean, or I could just do it the old-fashioned
way.
We
were actually talking a little bit this morning and last night about we have a group of people that are kind of trying to hold ourselves accountable for getting in shape and losing weight and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
So what's our mindset? That's the thing. Like why do we want to do this? Are we going to do this? I don't know. All these guys within 24 hours, they're all posting like, here is my workout run of the
Yeah.
morning. Here's this, here's that. I'm like, damn, you guys are taking this seriously very quickly.
And that's usually what happens. Like that whole idea of we came up with this idea like what 2 days ago,
Yeah.
and like within, I would say within a matter of hours, like one of the guys, I'll call him, I don't care. I think it was Hausch or Christopher Hughes. One of those two guys were like, boom, right away. They had spreadsheets laid out with everybody's names, like goals, and like I'm talking like interactive spreadsheets. Like I'm like, I don't even know how to use this thing, let alone make one of these. And they're like, I got these spreadsheets, and we're gonna do this and this and this, and we're gonna hold each other accountable according to this spreadsheet. And every day you got to go in here, and I'm like, wow. I'm just like in. I find honestly when people put that much immediate effort and that much energy into something like right away, it trails off like
It's gonna teeter off.
Yeah, within a week, it's like, man, because you can't maintain that level of energy. That's a high level
The
of
only
energy.
thing I would have to say, there is a decent group of people doing it. So, like, if everyone's like, "Come on, man, where are you at with this?" Like, if you're
Yeah, they are a different set of people. They're not like your average,
lazy,
Walmart sort of person.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, your average amigo rider, if you will.
See, I hate working out. I hate working out. I won't work out with my wife because I feel uncomfortable doing that. But I feel if I had someone to work out with, then I would have motivation because I'd have someone to call me out on my shit. I'm like, I woke up 20 minutes ago. So fucking what? Get out of bed. Let's go.
Mhm.
But I live in Uppittyville and
I
people I don't get along with.
I was doing really good last year. Like, I was waking up at freaking 4 o'clock in the morning. I would never run. Like, I feel like I'm not there yet to run. I would go for long walks. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking maybe 4 or 5 mile walks or whatever early in the morning. And that's tough for me to do when previously it was like, keep hitting snooze, finally roll out of bed and, go to work. But like to get motivated enough to wake up extra early, I don't know. I think walking's a good starting point.
So you'd walk about an hour.
Easy.
Yeah, I mean, really, walking is almost. I won't say all you need because that depends on your goals, but that's pretty close to all you really need. Just move consistently every day. Exercise is such a small portion of the amount of calories that you burn. Like I know when you look at your apps and you look at like what the little bike says, like, oh, I pedaled for 10 minutes and it says I burned all these calories. Well, that's lying to you for one. Like they do that for a reason. Because if it actually said like, oh, I pedaled for half hour and I'm gonna burn an exercise program, so they fluff up the numbers a little bit. But if you look at the grand scheme of things, your body burns off so many more calories just doing this normal stuff. And then if you throw in like walking, which is something that we're supposed to be doing all the time anyway, but we've become more chairs are readily available everywhere you look now.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, you can just walk. You just walk all the time. Stay moving. Just get moving. You don't need to be running. You don't need. I mean, again, it depends on your goals. You want to be a runner. You want to run a marathon. Then yeah, your goals are different. But
I definitely I know who was it? I think Eric Kaiser said he's not big on the actual number on a scale, like weight, like watching your weight. He's more like, hey, I want to fit into this pant size, and then because muscle is weight and that. But I have to say, last year when or 2 years ago when I quit drinking, I started walking and this and that. I think I tightened up my belt by 2 loops.
damn.
Right? But just last week, I graduated 1 loop. So
went up a belt loop.
One. Yeah.
See, and gosh, it must have been like 4 months ago. I was down to like 195, and my goal is 190. And I think at 190, I'm along the mindset of like I want to look aesthetically a certain way. So the number on the scale isn't really that important, but I've also found that image in my mind, it does line up with a number on a scale. So that number on the scale is something that's easier for me to focus on. But yeah, I hit 195 and I was wearing like the size 34 pants, and I bought like 5 new pairs of pants. I'm like, well, I got to get new pants now. This is awesome. And then slowly it crept back up. I'm up to like a 36 right now, but I'm like teetering between a 34 and a 36, but I don't fit in the 34s anymore.
But here's the thing, what I noticed too, now we're talking about pant size. So there's pant size and there's like we want you to feel good about your pant size, right? Like, so one thing I noticed is like if I buy pants at Duluth,
Mhm.
and like, if you're like let's say you're a 34 in Duluth and you go to a normal clothing store and you're like, all right, well, I'm 34, I'm gonna buy some regular jeans or whatever.
No, you ain't.
You can't even close the freaking
Nope.
the button because it's like, okay, you're a fat tradesman. I'm gonna make you feel happy and you're gonna buy our clothes.
100%. I got one pair of Duluth pants, and yeah, that's a true story. And so the 34 size jeans that I have, they're the same exact jeans because I just buy different sizes, but I buy the same style of jeans. And God, man, they're like, before I bought these because they were loose and comfy when I was at 195, and right now I'm only like 10 pounds heavier. But they're like, it's like they're spandex now somehow, and I don't think they shrank because I've only washed them like one time because I it wasn't that long ago, so I don't think they shrank. They're just like all of a sudden they're skin tight, like fucking walking around
Yeah.
town,
They're
showing
and
up my
you know
moose
what?
knuckle, and
I think
just like
they're
weird.
making it easier to be a freaking fat, lazy
Oh,
whatever.
100%.
Now they have all the trades jeans that are out there that's like stretchy. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we're
It's
gonna
like
get these
it's like yoga pants for tradesmen.
Oh
exactly.
yeah, yeah. Like that's a whole nother topic we could eventually dive into is like our
Wearing yoga pants.
society. Well, that yeah, basically, like our society is slowly just making it easier to be unhealthy and fat, and it's socially more acceptable than ever.
We're a couple
You know?
more decades away from getting from the fat people in the floaty chairs, just like Wally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I can't wait for
100%.
the fat person chair.
Or when we have like androids that are sufficient enough, we'll just lock down into a chair, put on a helmet, and our android will go out and do our daily tasks for us because we're just either too fat and unhealthy or too lazy to do it. Like that Bruce Willis movie, I think it's called Surrogates,
Mm,
which is a good movie. You guys should go
yeah.
check it out.
Well, I'd like to get back to not wearing Duluth pants anymore. My first pair of Duluth stretch pants, why I started wearing them? Which nobody could tell they're stretchy unless you're wearing them. Then you could tell they got a little flex to them. But I was on a
Mhm.
job wearing Carhartt pants, and there was what happened. I got like a little tear on the side, like maybe near the inner crotch or whatever, while
Of
working on the
Carhartt pants?
Carhartt. Like
Man, those are.
I got nicked on a freaking nail or something, right?
Mm,
And as I was working throughout the day, I squatted down and dude, these pants freaking split like a freaking banana from like one leg all the way across the crotch to the other. We're talking like a 3-foot split in the pants. And
wow.
I parked, I don't know, 2 or 3 blocks away. I was in Chicago. So I'm walking down the street with like basically my crotch out. It was like, and I'm like, this is ridiculous.
I did that on a
See,
job site. I was training outside of town, and yeah, it split my pants. So then not only did I have to walk off the roof, but then I had to walk down the ladder and then walk through the store with my shit hanging out.
Yep.
you guys don't carry a spare uniform in your van?
Now I do.
Well, I had to go
I
get
do.
it. It
Of
was
course,
in my van.
I do because of I work on fryers and I get greasy, but not because I've ever split my pants open. That's a pretty good why though. Like if you ever want to lose weight, just like you want your pants to split open again. But see now they took that why away because you're like, I'll just buy stretchy pants.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't need to worry about losing weight. I'll just buy stretchy pants. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, solve that problem. Let's get
So
this bag of potato chips done.
this back on the topic, you are what you're thinking about. That little group that we have going on, that healthy group or whatever they call it, the morning coffee or
Yeah, the Breakfast Club.
it is starting to put me in the mindset. Like I'm watching all these guys post their freaking workout reality, what they're doing as far as running or walking. I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna run, but when we get off of this, I'm gonna go for a long walk this morning.
Yeah, actually
On
I
my
just before this I walked for an hour on my treadmill, and then after this I'm going to take my kid to the park and we're going to go for a walk as well. I got to get my goal is 10,000 steps in a day. And it usually equals about an hour and a half to 2 hours of walking throughout the day, which I mean, that's pretty good. I think it's done well for me. But going back to that group though, what it's given me is like Brett, you kind of touched on this. Like accountability, like an accountability partner. Like now I have, like, I can't go into this group and be like, yeah, guys, I ate a whole cake for breakfast. So, yeah, I'm going to be a little bit fatter when you see me in person in January, because, it's like, they probably won't really ridicule me too much, but I can't let them down. Like I can't let myself down, but if I do let myself down, then I can't let these guys down. And again, not like they look up to me, but there's this sort of, I don't know, this accountability sort of thing going on.
Well, we're gonna take a group photo at the symposium with all of our shirts off.
I mean, that sounds like a good time. Can we oil up first? I think I'm gonna be the only one that's gonna oil up for that picture. But it would be nice to like not look like a fat fucking slob in that picture.
I guess I'm not going to the symposium.
You don't want to take your shirt off?
Not really.
Okay, well, you can leave your shirt on. Just buy one of those shirts with a six pack sort of on it,
Done. Done.
We can oil that down.
I need accountability, buddy.
Well, I mean, first you need to have a good enough why to get yourself started. And like, so let's say for you, like Brett, I mean, your heart's in the right place. I assume you want to be around for a while to play with your kids when you're a little bit older. You're sort of more you're outside of a truck, not picking up tools all the time. So your job is less physical, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you could easily become a huge, giant fat ass, like easily. You just start fucking snacking all the time, sitting at your desk.
I got up to 255.
Yeah, see, that's going to be harder on your joints when you get older. When you're in your 40s, or I mean, your 50s and your 60s, that's going to be.
I just lost 30 pounds, so I'm back down to 225. But when I left Connecticut for Texas, I was 194 because Texas has brisket.
Which you can have brisket. You can have all these things. Like I say that there's no food you can't have. You just got to watch your portions and how you treat it and how your relationship with that food is. So like for somebody like you, Brett, I would just say, if you do want to get in shape, you do want to have just a slightly healthier lifestyle, I would just say pick something that you can do consistently every day for 20 minutes, whether it's walking or riding an exercise bike or, I don't know, a physical activity that just something you can consistently show up and do every day, or even 10 minutes, before you eat a whole cake, go for a 10-minute walk. It's not going to counteract what you're doing with that whole cake, but it's building up the mentality of doing something consistently, which is what habits are all about, is consistency.
And then visualize yourself at the symposium with your shirt off.
Yeah, with a bunch of other dudes
with their shirts off, all
next to you,
all next to a big tub of oil.
It's gonna be like the We Are the World of naked HVAC guys.
Oh my god!
we should make a calendar out of this whole idea. We should, like, those firefighter like sexy calendars, like HVAC dude sexy calendar.
Except for it's gonna be HVAC dad bods.
Like I can be holding my manifold gauges like with a seductive pose.
And you know what? The calendar will sell to a total of like 5 people, since that's how many.
Well, yeah, we'll end up just like giving it away. It'll be 2 years old, and we'll just try to give it away in supply houses. Hey, you want this calendar from 2 years ago? It's got sexy naked dudes.
I worked out for 6 months and wasn't fat at the time, but
busted my ass for this. I don't know, that's a good idea. We should talk to Brian about that, because he could sell them as symposium calendars.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he'd be down for that.
Yeah, maybe.
What are the odds he's listening to this right now and he's like, "Damn, that is a good idea, Bill."
I think 100%.
Yeah,
he's at the Kentucky Derby right now. Actually,
the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah,
man, that is such an uppity white people thing.
Yeah,
man, that's like the equivalent of what I like to say, white people taco night.
I think Brian, he visualized himself at the Kentucky Derby, and that's probably why he's there right now.
Yeah, I mean, I say it's uppity because, in my opinion, it is sort of uppity. It's like I don't know, what's the best word to say without offending too many people. It's like rich people's NASCAR.
Yeah. Rich people's NASCAR.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine, speaking of, and then we're getting way off topic, but whatever. A friend of mine was like almost a compulsive gambler. He was like, he made a lot of money on gambling. His game was roulette, right? And
Mm.
then we had a dealer meeting for a mana at the horse track by us. They rented out like a suite, and it was catered and this and that and whatever. And I invited him to go with me because my wife had no interest in going whatsoever. So he went there and he's like, dude, this is like a classy version of the casino. He's like, I think I'm gonna start coming here. This is legit. Yeah, all right.
Did he? Did he start going there?
I think he went a couple times, but he asked me to come with him. Like, I really have no interest to watch horses.
No, I have zero interest. I'd rather watch golf.
Yeah.
No, I have no interest in watching horses. It's and like I said, maybe if that is something like Brian visualized himself seeing, that's something that he associated with a certain level of success. Like maybe as a kid, when he would see successful people, he's like, "Oh, there's the oil tycoons. They go to the horse track and they bet on this. And it just became this thing that he wanted to be a part of because it's maybe it's just something he associates with success. Like I said, that's fine. It's not my thing.
Yeah. What we associate as success is a bunch of dudes with our shirts off.
Yeah, hitting our goals.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how I'm real curious to see how this whole thing plays out with these guys and their fitness goals because like Adam, you alluded to, like these guys aren't what I would consider like your normal sort of guys.
They're above average in every aspect.
Yeah. So let's see if they can perform above average and like hold on to this. Like, because a lot of these guys too, except for Michael Hausch, who's always been ripped and in shape. Like the other guys have these stories of like, I used to be in shape, like Dustin Cole, he used to be less fat, and Christopher Hughes, he used to be less fat. And like now they're all fatter. So let's see if like, I don't know their history of if they go back and forth, the yo-yo diet, they lose weight, they regain it. But
I think part of the spreadsheet, I don't know if it is. I didn't really go through all that much because I feel like it's a big thing and I should look at it at a computer. But like, everyone should probably weigh in initially, right? Weigh in, weigh out.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I thought that was on. Maybe it's not on there. I was trying to look at it on my phone. I had like scroll. There's so many categories on it. I was looking at it on my phone. I'm like,
well, the problem is somebody gave the task to Michael Hausch to come up with a spreadsheet.
Yeah,
it's the most elaborate thing in the entire world, right?
Yeah, he takes like a simplistic thing and he's like, well, if I can just make it into a super complicated spreadsheet, it'll be easier for everybody to do.
Yep.
And that's not the case.
So, what do you think?
I don't know. What do you guys go out and do today? You guys going to go out and change the world?
One step at a time.
I'm going to change my life a little bit today.
I'm going to go get my nails done.
Your nails did and your hair did?
No, my oldest likes getting tips on her nails now because it helps her not pull.
What are tips?
Fake nails glued on.
Huh. Oh, okay.
Because then it makes it more awkward to try to pull hair because she's been doing really good since she's gotten back.
Yeah.
And she's just, she's like, Daddy, that would really help me. I was like, okay, then we'll go. She's like, are you going to take me? I was like, yeah, I'll get a pedicure. I don't give a shit.
That would be amazing.
I could watch the woman just like look away when she goes to touch my feet because she's so grossed out.
Pedicure.
I wonder, like, I look at I don't think I could put my foot in front of somebody else.
Yeah, I was thinking a manicure, but a pedicure. Oh, dude. I don't know.
She's sitting there with the cheese grater on the bottom of my heel, just like grinding away, and she's putting in all the work, and I feel bad not to give her $20 for her effort.
I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could whip my feet out in front of anybody. Not like in that context. Like if I'm just sitting around with a bunch of dudes, I don't care. Yeah, look at my fucking nasty yellow toenails and my hammer toes.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm like, here you go, middle-aged Asian lady, please play with my feet. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing today?
I don't have a whole lot planned, so it's either I'm going to sit around and eat out of boredom all day long, or I'm going to win the day and take my kid to the park, do some physical activity, go grocery shopping, and try out my new grocery budget that I just put in place to try to save some money because inflation's killing me.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, maybe watch some movies. There's a bunch of cool movies out on Redbox right now. So.
Did you just say Redbox?
Redbox. Oh yeah.
Use Redbox.
From time to time, yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, is there something better to use? Because I'm totally open. Like,
No,
Netflix?
I just find there's a movie that references Redbox where he's like, "Do you Netflix and chill?" No, but we Redbox and jerk off.
oh, well,
So I just thought of that when
I
you
could
said
try
that. That's
that
why I
too if
chuckled.
my wife's not there. Maybe
It gives you 20 minutes of activity.
Yeah, especially if you have your smartwatch on.
jerking off does
Burn
20
4,000
minutes.
calories.
You're like,
20
wow,
minutes.
you're doing some serious exercising right now.
Man, I don't know what you guys are doing for 20 minutes. I mean, I barely even get the toilet seat up and I'm done.
I have a bunch of, I have like, I'm way overdue on tons of stuff. I want to go for a long walk right now. I have to do a load calc for a guy, get an estimate out for him. I got to finish the standard 310 content for the Chris Hughes / Aka video. I have to play with this new load calc app. I have a tech tip to write. I have all kinds of crap, and this
See,
is
that's
all.
and look at that. Like all that is desk activity too.
Yeah,
And
true.
that's like desk activity for me is so hard. Like I have the racked manual. I try to digest a little bit of the racked manual that I got every single day. So 4 or 5 pages of that. And then I got this book over here I need to start reading a little bit more of. And
4 or
that's
5
maybe
pages a day. You're gonna get through that when you're like 48.
I mean it's hard to digest that book. Yeah,
It's not like
it's
the book that you could like lay in bed and read because you
no.
unless you're actually looking for physical activity, because that thing weighs like 15
Yeah.
pounds. You'll be like,
It's 1,500 pages and I do like 4 or 5 pages a day and like some of the stuff is just like I read it and I'm like, why am I even reading this? I'm never going to use this or remember all these formulas and things. And I'm literally only like 30 pages in. I just got at the point where they're talking about refrigeration, like actual refrigeration. And we just finished up the chapter on GTUs.
I think Jason said that they revise that every 4 years. Imagine having to go through that book every 4 That's like reading the Bible and editing
What
every 4 years.
what book are we talking about?
Refrigeration, air conditioning technology.
Oh, okay.
And the one thing I noticed in that book is they were talking about like the history of refrigeration and the history of refrigerators. And they're like, and now they have refrigerators that have TV screens in them and they can connect to the World Wide Web. And I was like, who even refers to the internet as the World Wide Web
You should
anymore?
highlight that. Start going through and make notes on
I was doing that with Eugene Silberstein's book. It was mostly just grammatical errors. But that's a good idea. I should do that and I should blast Jason Upzoot online about that.
It
Like,
reminds me, I got to go through my notes of the ESCO combustion book and Jason's gas heating book as well too. I got to finish that up.
that's a whole day of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I got 2 days. It's a weekend, right?
So how
What
do
I
you
realize is like I'm adding a bunch of stuff to what I do on a daily basis. So instead of going out and doing physical activity like on weekends and going to work, running calls, doing installs, now I'm sitting at a desk doing stuff, and I'm slowly making a transition to do more and more stuff like that.
Yep.
And you're slowly transition to more and more belt loops then.
Yep.
That,
You're gonna be a big giant fat. Pretty soon you're just gonna need a rope instead of a belt.
yeah.
You'd be so fat.
Yep.
You
I
just
was
sat
looking
one.
at I was looking at a magnet
Shit
belt,
froze.
a belt with a magnet on it for the latch, but I was thinking like, there's
There it
no
is.
way. No way this magnet's gonna make it out with me, like working in this and that. It's just gonna,
Mm-hmm.
the skinny guys game.
Well, I say we call it.
I think it's about that time.
About that time. I'm debating on whether I want to go eat breakfast now or wait till I come back from the park.
Well, you have breakfast burritos. Go eat a breakfast burrito.
Yeah, I should. You've convinced me.
Put your mindset in the right place, guys.
Yeah. Just think about it. You can do it. If you think about it hard enough, I honestly believe that. With enough intentional focus on whatever it is you want to achieve, I think you can do it. Anybody can do it. Change the world day by day, bit by bit.
That's really Tony Robbins of you.
Day by day. Isn't that a song?
I think so.
Day by day. Yeah. Ding. All right. Well, let's get out of here.
See
Save
you
this
guys.
jibber jabber for next week.
Talk to you.